Sleepaway Camp on surface seems like your average cheesy 80s slasher film, and it certainly is. It's very cheaply made and campy, but it's also entertaining. Sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally.
I believe there's a whole bag. Well, I'm almost sure of it.
It's one of those movies that you can just put on and laugh at, like a so bad it's good type. The movie opens with a family of three: John, the father, and his two children, Peter and Angela. An out-of-control speedboat ends up murdering two of them, leaving only a sole survivor, Angela. Wow, this film couldn't even use the right child for the scene. We fast forward 8 years later, where we see Angela has been adopted by her aunt, and now living with her cousin Ricky. I wonder if witnessing her brother and father get brutally murdered is going to have any psychological impact on Angela. Probably not. We accompany Angela and Ricky as they arrive at Sleepaway Camp, abundant with a lot of people just waiting to get their comeuppance for being terrible human beings.
Artie, they're too young to even understand what's on your mind.
Then, good buddy, there ain't no such thing as being too young. You're just too old.
And that comeuppance comes quite soon, as it appears that there's a secret killer in this camp. I wonder who it could be. Throughout the movie, we get recurring instances where Angela's being bullied because of her neurodivergence, and Ricky always coming to her defense.
Yo, Angela, how come you're so fucked up?
Hey, dick-face, leave her alone.
But one boy seems to be nice to Angela, Paul. Through this, a relationship between the two starts to brew.
Good night.
Good night.
Later, we witness another one of Angela's enemies getting murdered and his body discovered the next day. Angela and Paul end up getting closer, much to the dismay of Judy, another one of Angela's bullies, that I'm sure won't end up dying later in the film.
She's a real carpenter's dream. The lad is a board and needs a screw.
Angela leaves the situation and of course ends up getting bullied again, which indefinitely leads to one of the bullies getting brutally murdered. Wow, I'm starting to think that there could be a correlation between bullying Angela and getting brutally killed. One of the camp coaches picks up on this pattern and accuses Ricky of being the one behind the kills. Angela and Paul end up sneaking out again, and as Paul advances on Angela, we end up getting flashbacks of Angela and her brother bonding over their dad's gay relationship. We also get a scene of the two of them playing around as kids, ending the scene with a very eerie shot of Peter pointing at Angela. Paul continues pressing against Angela, much to her discomfort and rejection, which leads to Angela the next day discovering Judy and Paul together, which of course leads to another scene where Angela gets bullied by Judy and her friend Meg. I wonder where this could lead to. So yeah, Meg ends up dying, then Judy also mysteriously gets killed. She dies from getting a curling iron jammed up her vagina. Yeah, sick, nice. It turns out that the kids that threw sand at Angela earlier are also dead. I really wonder as to who this killer could possibly be, guys. Ooh. I think the movie is trying to convince us that Ricky is the killer, but I mean, I don't think anyone's buying that. Anyways, the coach ends up dying too, and we cut to Angela with Paul. Angela seeming suspiciously determined to do something. We cut to Ricky extremely beat up from his previous tussle with the coach, making him less of a suspect, which leads to our final scene. We follow two coaches as they find Angela cradling Paul's head.
Angela. Angela, are you all right?
Angela, are you okay? Angela, can you hear me?
Then we cut to another scene where Angela's aunt is talking to what seems to be Angela, but that's when we realize they've used the boy actor. You could just brush it off, but then you think back to the opening scene. The only one who survived was Angela, but the actor shown in that scene was the same boy we're looking at now, not the little girl. Before we can even process this information, this happens.
How can it be? Oh my God, she's a boy.
So the kid who died at the beginning of the film was Angela. Peter was the one who survived, and his crazy psycho aunt forced him to become a girl, all building to this ending. Yeah, that was pretty good. There are a few reasons why this ending works so well. The score builds up this eerie tension combined with Angela's humming. The eeriness continues as we get shown a flashback of Angela's aunt. Her tone, it's so exaggerated, so melancholy. You can literally hear the crazy spewing out of her.
You see, I've always wanted a little girl. But of course, when my husband left... Oh, well, that's all water under the bridge, as I always say. Water under the bridge.
The suspenseful score continues and continues until the reveal is finally executed. A quick cut of Angela's haunting face, followed with Paul's decapitated head. A wide shot of her masculine body contrasting the frame we've seen with her throughout the entire movie. This supposedly innocent-looking girl now standing over a decapitated head with the structure of a grown man. Everything's out of place. Her hair, her stance, her expression, and the face here is actually a mask worn by a male actor. The mask looks so monstrous, so animalistic, so uncanny. Something we naturally reject. This combined with the growling hissing sound constant throughout the rest of the scene, adding to this animalistic nature that's been constrained throughout the entire movie, to be finally unleashed in its final minutes. The campiness we see through the entire film eventually being challenged in a scene that has actual suspense, atmosphere and delivery. Maybe that's why it's so unsettling. It's like we're watching a different movie. Such a harsh subversion of what we've seen before. A chilling note to end this film. A film that would otherwise be seen as your average campy slasher film. Everyone who's watched this movie knew that Angela would be the killer, but the subversion of expectations comes from the unsettling idea of Angela's origin. How it hinted at this idea at the beginning of the film. How being forced into this identity eventually climaxed to this. The final shot of Angela's static face as it fades to this unnerving photo negative green, climaxing Sleepaway Camp and cementing this face into the minds of the audience.